Senate Bill 323 would be more accurately titled the Female Endangerment Act.
We're already facing a shortage of OBGYNs in South Carolina, and it's untenable to expect quality medical professionals to practice in a climate where their careers and their freedom are at stake.
The infant mortality in those states rises by 7%. We had in 2023 over 57,000 births in South Carolina. That means that passing this very restrictive bill will cause an additional 4,000 infant deaths every year in South Carolina because of lack of good medical care. So you're doing actually the opposite of what you're trying to avoid.
Senate Bill 323 will not stop unplanned pregnancies. It will not stop assault. It will not stop tragedy. What it will do is punish responsible people.
This bill would strip families of the same care I received. Women are not making these decisions lightly. They are not seeking late-term abortions. These women are mothers, daughters, wives, and sisters facing devastating pregnancy losses or life-threatening complications. Often they are choosing this path because they want to survive, to mother the children that they already have, or to preserve their chance of having children in the future.
This bill is not only a significant waste of our time and taxpayer dollars, but it constitutes an unconstitutional reach that threatens the very fabric of health care in our state.
Over half of our counties are medically underserved, and nearly 40% are maternity care deserts.
We are watching an all-out assault on freedom, dignity, and medical care.
And abortion bans hurt families like mine.
I believe every one of us is capable of showing compassion in these situations, but bills like S323 blur the lines for moms and dads, for doctors and for the families and neighbors who step in when tragedy strikes. I urge you, don't make families suffer more than they already have to.
When tragedy strikes, women deserve compassion, community, and dignity, not criminalization.
This bill means that a woman like me, who received the worst news of her life, that her child had a fatal fetal anomaly and was going to die no matter what, would be forced to carry that child, holding on to false hope while needlessly suffering physically, mentally, and emotionally. Even under current restrictions, I was denied the care I needed. After hours of painful procedures just to prove my diagnosis, I finally begged the doctors to stop. If that's the reality now, I don't want to imagine what a woman would endure under Senate Bill 323.
Am I allowed to teach my students the normal female reproductive physiology and the pharmacokinetics of the medications that we use to manage those?
We know from other states that women's health can be jeopardized when laws like these are passed. Yet lawmakers continue to pursue more and more extreme measures that very few of your constituents seem to be asking for.
No one should have this personal medical decision made for them by politicians.
When I think of the impact this bill would have, I imagine my friends' faces disappearing from Christmas cards and Thanksgiving tables. I hear myself telling friends in other states, don't move here, it's too dangerous. I hear myself telling my husband, you'd better schedule a vasectomy, it's too risky to get pregnant again. I hear myself telling my daughter, you can't stay in South Carolina. It's not safe to be a girl here.
There are few OBs here that have as much incentive to stay in South Carolina as I do. However, if Senate Bill 323 is passed, I can no longer safely practice medicine in this state, and I would leave. As a proud Christian, I would like to remind the committee and everyone here that our nation practices the separation of church and state because we stand for freedom of religion and we recognize that religion is subjective.
Everyone on your committee can think of a country governed by laws that reflect a powerful government's religious beliefs. It is probably a country that you do not want to live in, you do not want to raise a family in, and you certainly do not want to be a woman in. This law would push our state in that direction, and as South Carolinians, we simply cannot let this happen.
Do what Jesus asked and love your neighbors who don't want to have their rapist baby, your neighbors whose bodies are too small or sick to safely carry and deliver a child, your neighbors who don't want their very desired child to only know a short, painful life, your neighbors who believe life begins at first breath and whose religion puts the life of the pregnant mother above all else. Your neighbors who want to treat their patients and their pregnancies without fear of jail time if they make a call that a bunch of lawmakers without medical training don't like or understand.
This isn't about you, your religion, your personal beliefs, and it's especially not about your next election. This is about basic health care rights in our state.
This policy prioritizes a political agenda over a child's well-being and safety.
And I know for a fact
there are many senators who privately agree that an abortion ban in totality with no exceptions is unacceptable. And so my question is, will any of you vote your conscience rather than relying on party allegiance?
And I want to remind each of you that y'all were elected to do what is right, not what will get you reelected. And since these gentlemen reminded me that I was not reelected, I want to remind y'all that I did the right thing on legislation just like this.
Do you have the personal fortitude to do the right thing no matter the political consequences?
What is your plan if we reach a point where there are no OBGYNs left to provide care?
And where are the women on this committee?
According to the South Carolina Coalition for Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, there were 3,536 reported cases of sexual assault in South Carolina in 2022. Of those, 1,499 were children under the age of 18. Given this, what is also undeniable is the amount of suffering women and girls facing the most horrific acts of sexual violence and loss could continue to endure should this bill pass. You say that you want to pass a law to protect and honor the sanctity of life. This law does just the opposite when it comes to women who experience sexual violence or miscarriage. These women and girls are also the precious children of a divine creation. Their lives have value and must not be further ripped apart by the perverse acts of rapists and pedophiles.
As a nurse practitioner, I can treat medical complications, but I cannot undo the trauma of rape or the trauma of being forced to carry a pregnancy that their bodies are too young and too small to endure. These children did not choose what happened to them, but you have the choice, and you have the ability to choose to protect them.
The supporters of this bill support traumatizing victims of child rape.
I cannot comprehend how any of you truly believe that if an 11-year-old girl gets raped and impregnated by her grandfather, that she should be forced to have a baby.
These same leaders who defend life are removing exceptions for adult and child victims of rape and incest, attempting to criminalize women and the doctors who care for them, and has the potential to give more jail time to rape survivors who seek an abortion than the man who raped her, as less than 1% of cases lead to conviction.
I should not have to reveal that trauma, just like so many of the women who have revealed much worse traumas today. But that is what legislation like this forces women to do. Justify our privacy, our pain, and our protection.
They don't need to worry that I'm going to hold back information or violate their privacy.
I have a Hippocratic oath. I adhere to my own personal moral and ethical responsibilities, and I will not be able to comply with this law. My medical training does not allow it.
Where is the protection for the children who are already here? Where is the protection for the mothers who are dying? Where is the investment in the students who are supposed to carry the state forward? You cannot build a 21st century economy while driving out doctors, while silencing speech, while telling an entire generation that freedom ends where pregnancy begins.
This law doesn't just ban abortion, it silences women, criminalizes support, and isolates us in our darkest moments.
S323 is not about protecting life, it's about preserving control.
The government has no business in the private decisions of women, their partners, and their medical care teams, their doctors. The government has no right to infringe on a person's sovereignty.
This bill is an abomination, written by legislators with no medical qualifications, and it is the peak of hypocrisy because it is written and provided by legislators who claim to be for personal choice, and yet it strips parents of the most important, precious choice that they have. It is a lie that this bill is about the protection of life. It is about controlling the most private moments of our lives.
We had two heartbreaking options. We could terminate the pregnancy, or we could carry to term, not knowing when he would most likely die in utero or in palliative care shortly after birth. We were informed that we had to make that decision quickly due to the 20-week ban that was in place at the time. After much discussion with additional medical specialists and my husband, I chose to have a second trimester abortion. I chose to end the pregnancy to avoid the possibility of my baby knowing only a short life outside of my body filled with pain. Being forced to carry to term under today's laws would have caused unimaginable emotional harm, rippling out to my family, friends, and the students that I serve.
Senators, your duty is not only to protect life, it is to protect our liberty. And this bill does neither of that. It undermines health care, it endangers mothers, and it shackles my generation to futures we did not choose.
It will deepen economic strain on families who cannot afford long travel, child care, or time off work, especially in the 14 counties that have no OBYN at all.
At this very moment, nearly 200,000 children in our state are suffering from hunger. Nearly 4,000 are in foster care. We have the 8th highest maternal mortality rate and consistently rank in the bottom 10 of education systems in the U.S. And gun violence remains the #1 cause of death for children ages 1 to 19. If the sponsors of this bill truly cared about children or the women who risked their lives to bring them into this world, they would be fighting to fix these issues.
The same people pushing this sort of legislation go on and on about life, but they don't put the same energy into free prenatal care. They don't put the same energy into free postpartum care. They don't put the same energy into access to food, health care, or safe schools. No. All they care about is that every single pregnancy goes on as long as it can. The pregnant person be damned.
I am a survivor. I know this pain. Assault took my power and I fought to reclaim. I choose abortion, I choose my life. That choice gave me freedom, not chaos or strife.
Shame on Senators Cash, Rice, and Garrett for introducing this legislation.
I have some stuff to leave with y'all, a petition of over 6,000 South Carolinians who have signed their names to stand against this bill. For the sake of every woman in this state and everyone who loves them, I beg you to please stop Senate Bill 323. Thank you.